Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Grugs here, Legion Tac, Cool Cutlery. Welcome back once again, troops, legionnaires, new recruits. As always, really appreciate you all taking the time to check out my channel and my video. Today in front of you, we are going to be testing out the Yewu Drop Point in 14C 28N steel. Pretty excited. Let's test it out. What's everybody carrying today? I've got my 704 gear Wildcat. Let me know what you guys got for your EDC. Veterans, active military, as always, just want to say thank you very much for your service. I hope you enjoy this video. Let's go over quick specs. Once again, this is the Yewu Drop Point EDC in 14C 28N steel. Total length 7.79 inch. Blade length 3.66 inch. Blade material 14C 28N. Blade hardness 58 to 60 HRC. Blade thickness 3.5 millimeters, blade width 1.2 inch, handle length 4.13 inch, handle material G10, knife weight 6.42 ounce, features full tang, a recessed lanyard hole, Kydex sheath, and a mini TekLoc. Received this a couple of weeks back. Let's take a quick look. It's got a nice high saber grind, pretty good looking drop point, G10 scales. Fits my hand really well. This would make a great hunter or a hiking companion. Camp knife too, you know, if you needed something small. Now these inserts on this particular knife was pink. I didn't dye them, but I used permanent magic marker and made them black. I'm sure it's gonna come off permanent my ass, but in any case, you can see that some of the black magic markers starting to rub off on the green. It's fine, I don't care. It's a tool, and that's how I'm going to use it. I've got this log right here that we're going to be testing out. Do a little bit of V-notch batoning, processing. I also got some other pieces of wood, other species we're going to be testing out. It's a pretty nice knife. It feels pretty good, and for the price, it's right. I'll leave a link on Amazon where you can go take a look and make your own decisions. But yeah, man, really excited. Comes with a nice taco style sheath with a decent thumb ramp for push off. All right, mini TekLoc. Let's just pop this knife in real quick. This one has absolutely no rattle, no up and down play, no side to side play. It's a pretty nice full tang blade and setup. I'm good to go here. Let's test her out. All right, troops, I've got something pretty realistic that you might be able to find if you're hiking, hunting, etc. You need to process a small piece of wood, warm up a cup of coffee, or warm up some food out into the field. I think this is perfect for a knife like this. All right, so I'm gonna do some V-notch batoning. I am going to cut a small piece for processing. Let's see how this knife does. It's a little bit awkward, this piece, because I probably should have used my saw to make it a little bit smaller. But you know what I like to mimic is that maybe if you're a hiker and you're doing a long-term hike, maybe this is all you have. You decided not to bring a saw or an axe, but you want to keep things light. You know, you've got some pre-made food that you purchased that all it needs is some heating up and just small logs might do it. You know, I know that there's sticks and stuff on the ground that you could pick up, but maybe you need something just a little bit more substantial to keep your fire going, and you pick up something a little bit thicker like this right here. All right, this is definitely, hopefully, a realistic possibility here. Something that you might use your knife for. I think this is under 50 bucks, this knife, so if you don't feel like spending a ton of money I also want to show you great examples of some well-made knives, and I've tested many Gia Brothers, and they are all fantastic. So far, so good. Now, this is a channel that tests out knives. I know some of you ain't gonna like my methods. I really don't care. This is the way I like to test out my knives here, and I think they're pretty good. A lot of people appreciate it. You know, if you don't like it, just move on. Plain and simple. All right, you can see the little bit of pounding right there. Let's take a look. That edge looks good to me so far. Almost through. I mean, technically I can't snap it, right? But I just want to get through this. All right, there we go. Not a bad job. Okay, for such a small knife. Let me clean this up. We'll process this even further, and I've got some other species of wood I want to test too. This is the piece I just did the V-notch batoning with. I'm going to save this so I can do the horizontal batoning and utilize the whole blade. In the meantime, I'm going to test out these other species of wood. This is kiln dried wood, very seasoned dry wood. This is a root, and this is some dead wood over here. It's all fair in my book. Let's test this out for everybody. Okay, this could very well possibly be a knife to take on a, fishing trip. Not necessarily at the sea, but at the lake, streams, some rivers. And I've seen plenty of people warm up their food, other content creators. They had other brand knives, but they warm up their food. They're taking small pieces of wood and they're doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. They built a small fire, popped these pieces of wood in their firebox stove or whatever stove it was. They cooked rice in it. They roasted the fish that they caught. That specific content creator actually his name was Virtue Voice. He was awesome. Okay, so this is that root. Did a fine job. Okay, now I've got this kiln dried wood, a nice piece over here, nice and hard. Just want to make sure that I put this knife through its paces. Okay, done deal. Edge looks good. Gonna keep on going. Whoa. That just broke apart, and you can see I'm almost through this knot over here. Well, I might as well finish it up. Okay, I did go through that knot. It worked, went through. Excellent. Excellent. I'm actually going to go scout out a park in a couple of days. And it's huge. It's even got a river. I'm going to just scout it out. I'm not going to do any kind of videos, but if it's a good place, I might do some reviews there. Okay, so far so good with this. All right, so real quick, let me just see for myself. So you can see the discoloration and the use where the knife is. All right, for me, this is satisfactory. It's sharp. All right, Let's try this root. Let's try this root that I batoned. It's fine. That works okay. Now I have some really, really dried wood. I used it the other day. This is fair. As far as I'm concerned, this is fair. This is something that a hiker, hunter, camper might find somewhere in the woods, on the ground. Dry, dead, fair game. It may be easy to cut, baton, whatever, but if you're trying to get a fire going, I don't care how hard or how soft this wood is, how dry, how dead it is, it's fair game for testing. All right. So 3 different species, 3 different hardnesses. Okay, you want a nice dead, dry piece of wood. So you can get this thing started. You can get your fire started. Warm up your food. Warm up your coffee. Heat up your coffee. Heat up your, boil your water. All right? Hard, harder, soft. Nice job, man, okay? Let's do the horizontal batoning. All right, troops, so far so good. Maybe a little loose, but again, any kind of a beating on a knife is gonna loosen up those screws. So if you're smart, buy yourself some Loctite, tighten those screws up with the Loctite. But for right now, I'm leaving things the way they are. Utilizing the whole blade. Okay, and do some horizontal batoning. Okay, looking good. All right, there we go, okay? That worked out well. Let me do it again. And then I gotta tighten up these screws because they're definitely getting looser. But so far, that's the only issue with this knife. Okay, now I'll process this off camera even more. But just real quick, all right, you saw me utilize the whole blade, and so far so good, man. Okay, let me tighten these up, and I'm gonna process these down to feather sticks. We'll take it from there. Oops. I was processing these off camera, and I was using the tip, and I'm like, you know what? I'm missing out on an opportunity to show everybody, so once again, I got more species of wood. I just did the horizontal batoning with this. Let me show you this tip because so far, so good. All right. I did split these 2 right here with my tip, and I'm going to continue on doing it here with this other piece. Okay. And show maybe hunters out there that this is pretty strong if you want to, get into the meat of the animal. All right, do a little prying here. Don't have to worry about the tip breaking off. All right, so kindling, feather stick candidates, right? I'll save this for the end of the video. I've got plenty to show you in a little bit. Here's that kiln dried wood. Start right here from the middle. Handle is good. I know the marker that I used to cover up that pink is bleeding all over my hand. No matter, it's a tool for me. Tip is fine. This hard piece of wood did the job, and you could see where that point went through, right? Let's do it again. Very good. One more time. Okay. For those against batoning, you have something stable that you could use your tip. That's awesome. Here's that root. This is another piece of root here in the center, doing the job. Tip looks good, okay? And then here's that dead piece of wood. Again, I think it's fair game. You find this in the woods, you need to process it so you can get a fire going. It's fair, I don't care. Maybe it's soft, doesn't matter to me. If it's gonna burn, I will use my tool to process it, okay? However you want. So tip test is good, and while I am here and I have a nice piece, okay, let's make a divot. So the handle is very comfortable. I didn't even need a lanyard. So the handle is done right. You get a nice firm grip, no matter if it, reverse, hammer, front grip, the texturing is done right. So now let's see, with a little bit of pivoting. And again, you don't have to use this knife this way. This is a channel that tests out knives, right? So I just want to show you all that because it's a Chinese or foreign made knife doesn't mean that it's not good, all right? Okay, using that tip to pivot to make that divot larger. All right, looking good, looking good. Let me clean this up. I'll bring back my feather sticks that I used to baton. This piece right here will make individual curls and a feather stick or two. Okay, got this piece of wood here. I just did the horizontal batoning, the root, the kiln dried wood, the dead wood, fat wood. I'm gonna also test out the spine here. Let's start off with this. Individual curls. Just testing out a little bit of the edge retention here for everybody. All right, after that bit of abuse. And by the way, I did tighten up the screws here. So that is sharp. And let me see if I could make a few feathers here for everybody. They also make a Tonto version, and I want to get it because I like the Tonto version. It'd be good for everyday carry, but you get the idea. So that's one species of wood. Now, the kiln dried wood. Okay, small example of this wood right here. and you get the idea, all right? Not the greatest feather stick, but example. This is that root. So far, so good. Okay, you can see I'm making some nice fine curls here after that abuse, right? And real quick, let me see if I could just make a quick feather stick for everybody. Okay, you get the idea. Last but not least, I have this real dead wood. All right, even though it's soft, it's dead. This will burn, okay? There's just no doubt in my mind that this will burn, and this is what you want. Now, I have no illusions. Again, this is a channel that tests out knives. I have no illusions. You have sticks on the ground, you know, stuff like that you could pick up and use, but if you want to practice your skills out in the field, you know, even though all that stuff is around you. Now, being that it's so dead, you know, I'm just trying to make do with what I've got here, but again, this will light up. So, 4 different species of wood. I have some fat wood here. You know, I can make nice fine curls here. Supplement the pile. Try not to get all these mixed up. All right, now, edge is still good. Let me see if I can use the spine here, at least on the fat wood. Yep, it's good. At least with the fat wood, it's doing a fine job. All right, that's good news. And I'm just going to try one piece of wood. Let me try the original piece that I may have found, you know, as a hiker, hunter, camper. And these are all other examples and tests. Just get this out of the way. Let's see. Not too efficient on this type of wood. But that only tells me that just this needs to be sharpened up a bit. There is no burr. It's pretty rounded off, you know. I mean, all things considering. But you could use a workshop sharpener. You could use a 1-inch belt sander or a belt sander of some sort. Put a nice little burr on here. You'd be good to go. If you want to keep it as is, I think depending on what type of wood you use, it's going to take you a little effort. So that's good. One last test I want to show everybody while I leave this knife here. Let me go grab the ferro rod. 1 second. All right, I got this that I received from a vendor. Now the only thing I want to do is just take off the coating's already off. So let's see. Not very good. Not very good. It's going to take some effort for sure. Yeah, no. Let me try a different part of the blade. Very, very little. You're definitely going to need to sharpen this up, make a burr. However, it did do justice on this fat wood, okay? And my recommendation for sure is get yourself one of these scrapers over here. This way you don't ruin your knife. You don't have to worry about sharpening it. If you consider this a tool, you don't care, you know, sharpen that spine up, man. But let's do some camp tasks with this. You know what, troops? I'm saying to hell with it this time around. I'm going to see if I can make a slight burr. I've got the coarse diamond plate on the workshop sharp guide right here. All right, you could see I'm trying to make a burr, trying to make it a little bit sharper. Let's see. Let's see if I made a difference. Oh yeah, okay. Sparks, worth it. Absolutely worth it. I wanted to show you that sometimes I do find the courage myself, and it was just a small scrape, nothing too bad. It put a small burr on there. I'm happy with that result. I'm glad I got to show you guys. Now let's move on to camp tasks. I personally feel that this knife is robust enough to take out into the field. Example right here at a construction site. If you want to carry something like this with you on your person at a construction site, I have both some camp material, some industrial material to test out. Sorry about the background noise. They're building here, nothing I can do. So let's start off with some of the easier stuff right here. Possible camp materials that you may take or find, you know, out in the field. Like you might take this rope, but who knows, you know. Some people leave their garbage behind. Okay, sorry about that. Easy. Let's do it again. I'm gonna do a little push cut. Okay, we're good to go here. Here's some cotton material. They use this at the construction site. So again, you might find this or take this into the woods. You might be one of the construction workers out here who want to go on a hunting trip, camping trip. Okay, you might think that this is useful out in the field. Good to go. Law enforcement, military, first responders, seatbelt material, nylon. All right. Little push cut, beautiful. Now for some more industrial stuff, maybe garden, like this came off of a bucket. The bucket broke, so I cut this so I could use this for testing. Let's take this right here. This is twist tie, nice and thick. Okay, let's do it again. I did the rear of the blade. Let me see if I can do a little bit in the middle and the front of the blade. All right. And I've got 4 pieces for future testing. But if this is wrapped around pallets here at a construction site, you could use that tip and dig in. All right, here's a little bit softer material. This is used at a construction site to tie prefabricated roofing. There you go. Easy. Here's some real thick, tough stuff. This will give a challenge to any knife. Cut. Okay, now this, since it's so short, push cut. Beautiful. Not bad for a knife under, I think, 40 bucks. I think this is like 30 something dollars. Don't quote me. I'll leave a link. You can go check it out for yourself. It's a perfect little knife, man. Held up just fine. Use this for self-defense, camping, hiking, hunting. You know, just glad I'm able to show, you know, the hard-working people out there that you can afford a decent knife. Fantastic. Just a small example of what this knife was capable of doing. I would have no problem taking this on a construction site, camping site, hunting site, whatever. You know, this knife proved itself to me. And for me, that's what matters. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed the work that was done with this knife. The spine was easily corrected with a few strokes on that work sharp guide, and sparks were flying off that ferro rod. Sometimes you just got to find that little bit of courage to just do a slight modification to improve your life out in the field. You know what I mean? All right, troops, hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about this knife. Let me bring awareness, everybody. Hashtag 22 a day. Hashtag 22 a day no more. There are veterans and active military who wants to get out of the service. They do face a lot of challenges. Unfortunately, one of these challenges is suicide. So when we're done here, at the end of this video, pause on the slides, call those phone numbers, surf those websites, read that heartfelt message from Martin Miller. Seek the help that you all have earned and deserve. Troops, Legionnaires, new recruits, I'm hot. It's been raining here in Florida, so every day has been real muggy. Got to be careful with my health. I apologize if you think that I rushed through this, but I got to get into some AC. All right, troops, at the ready, hold the line, take care.